Tonight, disgraced mogul Sean Diddy Combs still behind bars, held without bail, pleading not guilty to explosive charges, sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
What's up, New York?
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York.
The once celebrated rapper was arrested by federal agents Monday night at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York City. At the center of those charges, alleged freak-offs or sex performances that authorities claim were planned and recorded.
A word that has come up in this story, freak-off, what is that?
It is him having like sex workers or whoever come in and have sex with his partner, whoever it is, while he watches or participates or whatever. Yeah.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways.
Sean Combs entered court, and when he first walked through the doors in the company of the U.S. Marshals, he didn't have any handcuffs on. He did look a little bit stunned as he surveyed the imposing federal courtroom. The only words Sean Combs uttered during the entire hearing were the words, "not guilty." Otherwise, he was nearly motionless, looking in large part straight ahead unless he had to directly talk to his lawyer.
We're appealing the decision to hold him without bail.
Combs' attorney denying all allegations and saying his client will fight the charges.
So, darkness comes to light. What do y'all think about Diddy getting arrested? What do you think is going to happen from here, too?
I mean, it's just like a classic play out of what we see on all trials, man. People say they're not guilty, and then all the evidence comes out, and then you're sitting there and you're like, how could you even utter those words? I mean, it's all political, of course, just to say it because your attorney's telling you to. Hey, you got to say you're not guilty, so this goes away, or we try to get off of this. But I mean, it's crazy. I mean, look at how many mobsters, have all gotten caught up on these charges. And it catches up to him. I don't understand why he didn't think wouldn't catch up with him. But R. Kelly would have set me straight. If I was Diddy, I would have seen R. Kelly's situation, and I would have been like, let me back out of this because he was doing this stuff too recent.
It's too late. If you think this is a warning to other people, it's too late. Like they got it. They been had him.
You already in it.
They been had him. They just letting you know now.
I just would have got real quiet and gone away for a long, long time. Like I would have been like, man, let me see 10 years, 10 years away from the light will get me.
Feds already did the research. Like you said, he was already caught.
Yeah.
I just feel like too. I don't care. It ain't necessarily a crime, but you got 1,000 bottles of baby oil. You doing something.
Oh yeah.
There's no good explanation for that.
You doing too much slipping and sliding for me.
Stuff in there, right?
Oh yeah.
It was
for some reason
they had like male toys in there, like 750 of them.
Yeah, like 700. Yeah.
It's crazy. There's no way to spin that.
And this is what I say. This is how I feel about it. Like at this point, like I feel like a lot of us about to be scarred, bro, because he said when I looked in the report, it said something about other artists were involved.
Oh yeah.
And I'm starting to see now like a lot of the people that are possibly involved kind of start to like act weird in a fashion. The other day I was watching this I was on TikTok and I saw like Usher, and he was on there and it was so weird because I don't know if y'all saw the video, but he like dancing or it didn't look like him, and he gonna talk about something, the way his voice kind of was high pitched, and it just seemed kind of weird to me. And then today on Instagram I saw Justin Bieber. He was with he was kind of dressed weird or whatever, I guess, and they had some young kids over there making fun of him. He got mad at him. Like I've never seen him like this before. Like he was like real life upset. So I feel like they even know that in these hours something's about to get exposed.
Yeah,
man, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
I mean, definitely there was a lot of I've heard grumblings of a lot of people saying so and so this tape. Things are coming out. I think we know how the justice system works. You're innocent until proven guilty. I think we have the court of public opinion, and a lot of people, obviously can, put two and two together. Some of these things have been spoken about for years.
Does he pull people down with him, like at the point where if he feels no support, he just starts naming off people?
The video
is it too dangerous for him to do that?
The videotapes got the people already.
Dang, the videotape.
The government took the videotapes. So the videotapes, he got the videotapes. The government got the videotapes of what people were doing and how he was blackmailing people, saying like, I got this video of you doing XYZ.
you got to do what I tell you kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying? So I think at the end of the day, yeah, the video's already out there. I think the government only people, and then also, I don't know how true this is. You know, people were saying like they were selling some tapes on the black market for somebody.
That's crazy.
Yikes.
I didn't hear that.
I mean, the dark net is possible too. So you never know. I mean, you never know. I'm sure we'll find out. You know, darkness comes to the light. It always does.
Yeah. Y'all remember a long time ago they had this situation with the Ashley Madison thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I never watched that documentary, but I remember reading up when it first got out that there was a pastor who ended up like killing himself because he found out it was coming. Do you think we're going to see people doing crazy things? I mean, well, I hope the church is like far from this. I know it's not, but I'm just saying, like, I like to be optimistic of it. But do you think we're going to see people coming out like doing crazy things?
I mean, he already said. I mean, I think people are reacting to, what's going to leak? Because the feds have it, so they already know.
Yeah.
What's going to leak out of the feds? Because some stuff gets leaked intentionally.
Yeah.
Right? And then some stuff is accidental. So I think there's just nervousness right now. Who has what? Who has me? You know what I mean? It's gonna be some weird behavior.
You saw like in the last 3 or 4 days, probably like 10 CEOs of like different record labels have resigned.
Yep.
What?
Oh, no, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
like it's
300.
300.
300. Sony from Japan. A few other people. Like a lot of record label CEOs and presidents are resigning. You already know what time
I'm
it is,
not.
bro.
That's crazy.
That live footage, man.
That's crazy.
And that just goes back to the biblical principle that it don't matter how much you try to hide stuff, like it's going to come to light. It's going to come to light. Like it's going to. And me just seeing it actually manifest itself just actually builds my faith in a way. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's just sad that somebody could do this for 20 years.
20 years, bro.
Hurt that many people for 20 years. Turn victims into abusers. Because I'm assuming that's what's happening too, right? He's making people victims, and then those victims are victimizing other people.
Hurt people.
This has been going on for years.
But I guess the question goes back to, and I'm not saying that for Diddy, but I'm just saying, who taught Diddy?
Well, I mean, there's got to be something.
They said Andre Herrera was the one that broke him in.
Oh, really?
Really?
Wow.
That's what they say.
Clive Davis?
I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's so many different things in terms of, you know, there's obviously the rumors, you know, that start way before any of them, right? You know, it goes back to, you know, people speaking on Quincy Jones and different things. You know, that aspect. You know, the one thing I wanted to say specifically is that denying bail means something. A lawyer here. But usually when bail is denied, it's for not. We always think of the reason the person has the capability to run. That's usually the number one reason. But in this case, you know, I'm willing to almost wager that
it's keeping them alive.
No, there's some information that we're not privy to that, you know, somebody has and they've shared, and bail has been denied. Right, and so that's what I'm willing to. Yeah, I'm willing.
Yeah, that thought takes me a lot of places.
So what does this mean? Like, if the industry that we've all been, you know, we all grew up in, right? We grew up in Bad Boy era. We grew up in all these people's eras. What does that mean? Like, if they were the ones influencing our culture for all those years, how do we combat that? How do we undo some of that?
Well, I think the thing is this, and I think we always talk about this. I mean, we don't even talk about, I don't think we talked about it, but there's been sayings about Africa Bambaataa when he molested kids back in the day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So if that's one of the pioneers of hip hop, then this whole thing is kind of shaky.
It's like a rite of passage that you gotta.
I don't think it's a rite of passage, but I mean, I think it's just perversion.
I've heard
rite of passage, rituals. There's things. This industry is very dark, right?
Yeah.
And you have to really look at whenever you see exposure to pedophilia. Whenever you see, because I push to pedophilia more than anything because you don't see people speaking about that. You see those things going away, right? And the people who are involved, it gets quiet, right? And so when there's attention to be pushed somewhere else, you know, that works better, right? Whether it's the Me Too movement or whatever. And I'm not discrediting any of these trials and evils that people are going through.
Mm-hmm.
But this industry, music, film and TV, which I'm in now, when it's dark.
And you know what it kind of shows me. It just kind of exposes what's really going on in the industry, like how false it really is. Yeah. Because now we're seeing the people that we looked up to. That's why I said we're gonna be scarred, because the people that a lot of us looked up to, the people that making music about doing this and that, is showing how dark their hearts are.
The thing too, I have to say is like the music that we're listening to. I don't think I examined stuff even back in the day when I wasn't like walking with God, and I was like, this doesn't sound right. And you go back and you hear some stuff, and there's this heavy rape, molestation references in songs. Even now, like I listen to certain songs, I've heard people, and I'm hearing stuff when I'm out, and I'm like, that sounds like a rape song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to remember, like there's a guy and he's like, you gonna give it up? And the girl keeps saying, I got a man. I can't remember how it goes. Like,
what's your man got to do with?
Yeah.
No, is that it? No. It's a new song.
Oh no,
like, you gonna give
song.
it up? He's like, I got a man, and he's like, you gonna give it up? He just keeps saying. I'm like, if you take away the song, this dude is basically like, I'm gonna get that.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? And it's like in a way where people are dancing to this stuff.
The Christmas song.
Like
back
you
in the
go
day.
to the club and you think about it. Like go to the club and shots get fired, and people's like, why? What were you listening to?
Yeah.
And what spirit was happening? All the killing, all the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like smoking too good.
Yeah.
What?
But do you think that's like, now as we go in and you've seen, I've heard, of course we talked about Aleister Crowley on our show before, but him in one of his books, he was a known Satanist, the big dog of Satanism. One of his books was called Sex Magic, where he talked about having sex with kids, the way you orgies and all like that, invoking demonic presence in those things. And as I think about the industry, that's what it feels like that thing, because a lot of people follow that, like that form of Satanism. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of those things where people probably gotta. That's why all this stuff is starting to happen. You know what I mean? Satan know his time is up.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know, I can't speak on Sean's behalf either, but when we were in the Radio 1 scene and Hot 107.9, I saw a lot of things that disappointed me. And it made me want to come out of the industry. It made me want to get away from it. But I also knew from the age of 12, God called me to do this, right? And I remember telling my mentor that I didn't want to do it unless it edified God. And then we started doing Track Stars. And then from there, it was just like, okay, we're not a part of it. We're a part of maybe the solution to clean it up. But it still feels like when you hear these stories, it drags you back into what we saw, and how we felt and how dark it was and how it just almost feels hopeless, But for us to continue doing what we do 18 years later, I'm really proud of that. I just feel at the same time that there's this, like you said, we were raised off of Diddy and Big Boy and all that kind of, Biggie and all that stuff coming out and being a part of hip hop so early. And now it's just like when you see all this, and it just feels weird and icky. It feels weird. So weird.
I saw something, I forgot the name of the song, but it was like an old rock and roll song. It was a video, and the girl was probably like 15 to 16. It was a grown man asking the parent, could she come out? And the parent was like, nah. He went to her window, got her out her window, and they start flying through the sky on a magic carpet. It's like one of them old rock and roll songs. Start kissing the little girl and everything. If I find them, I'll show y'all. But it's crazy, bro. Like, that was in like the 70s.
This stuff really been out, to be honest. But now, since we have social media and we have all this, other outlets, it's just been exposed now. But now I'm starting to see that it's actually been going on, like you said earlier. It's been in the music, it's been in the industry, it's been showing it to us. But we were so innocent when the time was happening that we kind of let it go past our heads. But now at this point, like I said, it's just becoming exposed. Everybody's seeing it.
I think, like, I was reading Nebuchadnezzar this morning, and like, this whole thing with, the Hebrew boys, etc. And I just was like, I wanted to go back and see. I was like, what did Nebuchadnezzar mean, right? And it was interesting because he was saying, when you hear the flute and the lyre and all this music, bow down, right? And so it hit me, and I was like, what does his name mean? And it means to protect the crown or protect the heir. And when we listen specifically to hip hop, we always hear this fight to be who's king, right?
That's
Who's king, and the worship, right, of fans and bowing down, right, to their favorite, that favorite person, and that spirit is present and lurking. And when you really look at the word, if you really examine the word of God and you see like what God does not. There are two things that are constant in the Bible if you read carefully, and this, I'm sure people will, run with this, but killing children or hurting children, right? And also idol worship. These things, we see God unleash wrath unlike no other when you start to see these things.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about the rituals or these other things that are linked to what's happening with children, and to me, what I don't think we recognize about the kingdom is Christ has an operation of government, right? I think sometimes calling ourselves Christians gives us a disservice because we are actually we're citizens of the kingdom, right? And so that functions like a government, right? The order of God. Well, Satan does the opposite. Right, he also functions in the opposite way in government, right, in terms of his structure. And so what you always recognize, if you recognize with Satan working, he is going to then turn something that God does and twist it, do it in a similar fashion, but it's warped, right? So it's half truth, not the whole truth. And honestly, when we look at how Satan relates in the Bible, like, I don't know if anybody has recognized this before, but when Christ says to Peter, he's like, the devil wishes to sift you like wheat. Do we know that was actually a sexual connotation? So he's saying, I want to get that. I want to get that booty. That's what Satan is saying, right? And so Satan there's a lot of twisted homosexual things that attach to Satan and how he operates, right? And so when you start to break down Greek and Hebrew, you'll find these different connotations to understand, like, oh, that's not just sifting a wheat that's what that means? Like, you know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? And now we're cringing, but the enemy wants us that way. He wants us that way.
My wheat ain't getting sifted.
We missed that. What you said?
I said my wheat ain't finna get sifted. You know what I'm saying? Hey.
Love it.
Yeah, we good.
All right. So anyway, like we said, darkness comes to light. That's ain't nothing else to say about this one.